We've got some drama in Iowa. If you were thinking you were going to wake up and we'd have some results for you, which we were anticipating, the results of the first in the nation caucus, they have been officially delayed after the Democratic Party said it found inconsistencies in the returns and would then go manually verify data from all precincts. A party representative now blaming a reporting issue, and the state's party chair said results will be released later today. It's verifying that digital results submitted on a new smartphone app match 2 sets of hard copy backups. Some of this could be an app issue now. Sources telling NBC News that the state party hosted a heated conference call with campaigns after 11 p.m. Eastern, but the party leaders hung up as campaign officials pressed for more information. So
I guess there isn't an app for that.
There is not an app. There's not an app for that. You know, we have numbers that like crawl across our screen all the time. Results.
Right.
Real time. There's nothing. We have nothing to show. We just have zeros.
Apparently, this was an app that was just put together in the last couple of months. It
By a group called Shadow.
Right. It was kind of pushed by the National Party when they said, you've got to find a better way to come up with this, but it was not tested on a statewide basis.
And there's controversy because they haven't revealed exactly who was the creator, and there's been concerns from cybersecurity firms about the testing of it.
Meantime, we do have somebody who may actually have the results. His own results, at least. This is joining us right now is pollster and political strategist Frank Luntz. What Iowa cannot bring us, Mr. Luntz may be able to try. Frank, what do you know?
I wish I could. We interviewed about 50 people yesterday, before, during, and just after the caucuses. And I can tell you today that there are some very angry, some very depressed people. And I'm not going to take cheap shots. I myself said last night, if you can't run a caucus, how can you run a country? But this morning, this is very bad. Hundreds of thousands of people came out to vote. They came out for 2 or 3 hours. They exercised their democratic responsibilities. And they wake up this morning and there are no votes at all. We've been hearing for years now about voter suppression. We've been hearing about voter fraud. This is worse. It's as though no election took place yesterday. And I cannot emphasize enough, no cheap shots this morning, but be very, very depressed that our democratic system failed last night. We wake up this morning with no votes counted. We wake up this morning with no winners, no losers, candidates that are frustrated, and voters that simply wonder, does our democratic system actually work anymore?
So, Frank, let me ask you a question. Assuming we get a tally later this afternoon, how consequential is the delay?
It's consequential.
How consequential will it be in terms of the country and Iowa's and the Democratic Party's view even of the numbers themselves?
It's significant. And remember, in the end, it's really not about the candidates. It's about the voters. It's about the people who participate. And they're going to wonder. They've heard about Russian hacking. They've heard about all sorts of voter failure. We go back to the year 2000 when we had essentially a tie in the country. And they look at this and they wonder, in the year 2020, why does our system still fail? And all this doubt, and you know this is going to be played up not just nationally, but globally. The world was watching last night. People came out expecting to have winners and losers. And they operated we were at 4 caucuses last night. And people understood the process, moving from candidate to candidate as time went on, so the candidates could be, and I quote, viable, unquote. And then they find out that those votes aren't tallied. They find out that it's almost like it didn't matter. Now, yes, we will have votes later today, but a lot of people aren't going to trust them. Some candidates are going to claim voter fraud, but the voters themselves are frustrated and they're angry.
Frank, the system in Iowa is hardly traditional or emblematic of what happens across the United States. Is there any chance that this caucus system in the state, which they defend and have historically defended as being incredibly democratic, but from the outside seems incredibly problematic sometimes, and we're seeing it now, any chance that this system will change in the state after this?
There is a chance, and I've met with a number of Democratic officials
in the state
over the last few weeks in the states, not just Iowa, who believe that this is not representative of the country, who believe that Iowa is not representative of the Democratic Party. I know that I looked around last night at a number of different caucuses, and it wasn't representative of the typical Democratic gathering. However, Iowa voters take their responsibilities seriously. They meet with multiple candidates. When I've asked the question, how many of you have met a president, not just a candidate, but a president, 1 out of 4 raised their hands. You can't find that in any other state except for New Hampshire. These voters are serious about the choice that they make. They're serious about knowing all the candidates. So that's the best defense. But if you can't count the damn votes, if you can't get a system that actually works out here and reports the efforts of hundreds of thousands of people, then you know what? Then you lose that responsibility. You lose that right to go first.
This is the government officials don't have any oversight over this, national government officials.
That is correct. This is strictly a partisan matter, and they have really let the voters of Iowa down today.